Okay, looks like we're set up. Just checking a couple of things. There we go. Okay, so let's have a bit of a look at how we went last week as a starting point. So last weekend we had how many selections? We had 34 selections. We didn't lose any of those selections, so we kept up the 100% strike rate. We did have a couple of 3 that were scratched and 2 where we just didn't get the odds that we wanted, so we had to skip those. But let's jump in and have a look at how much we actually won. If I change this back to sum, on a $30 bet size, staking size, we got $8.94. So what's that? Almost just under 30% of the staking size that we had. So that has taken us up to $19.83 since I started this, and we haven't lost a bet yet. Keeping in mind these are lays and they're at large odds, so we wouldn't expect to get hit very often, so the 100% strike rate is still fairly good. Now, if we have a bit of a look, I've already started doing some selections for today. I've done Randwick. We've got selections in race 2, number 15, race 3, number 18, race 7, number 8, and race 8, number 11. Most of those, well, 2 of those are at very high odds, 2 are at reasonable odds of 60 and 30. Caulfield, we've got a selection in race 1, that's number 7. Race 4, that's number 5. Race 5, which is number 13. And race 6, which is number 12. And also race 7, number 7. There's only 2... Oh, and race 9, number 1, sorry. There's 3 selections there that are fairly high odds, over the 100. The other ones are fairly reasonable. Doomben, we've got quite a few selections there, almost every single race. It looks like we have got one every single race, so that'll be a bit of an exciting meet to watch. It's race 1, number 8, race 2, number 3, race 3, number 15, race 4, number 20, race 5, number 6, race 6, number 14, race 7, number 9, race 8, number 10, and race 9, number 14. Keeping in mind we're risking $30 outlay on all of these. And looking at Doomben, we have at least 3 that are over $100 or over $100, with one of those being at 1,000 to 1. Meaning that I'll lay it no matter what the odds are. I don't think it has any chance of winning. Many of the other ones are fairly short. We'll probably not get the odds that we're looking for, and it'll end up being skipped lays. But may as well put them in and see if we can get those odds that we are looking for. The other thing which I think people will be interested in is we started a lay the jockey test last week. We just picked a few meetings on the Sunday and decided to lay essentially any jockey which was losing 35% or more on their ROI on racing and sports. So to just show essentially how you do that, you would go over to racing and sports. You would click on the meeting info for that meeting. So let's just choose Belmont as an example. It will come up with the meeting information. On that, there is a tab for runners, jockeys, and trainers. Under there, we have the jockeys, and it lists all their riders for the day. And if you right-click on this and open it up, you will see for Alan Kennedy, he only has a 0.72. So that's a 28% loss on his rides using starting price. Now, we're looking for a 35% difference for the ROI, so we're looking for 0.65 or less, and we're laying those. So we started that last week. And just jumping back to the spreadsheet, we started on Sunday with Grafton, Pakenham, Port Augusta, just the 3 meetings. And it didn't matter what the odds were, we just laid it. We just went and we're just testing, getting some data to see how it actually performs. It's a fairly easy, fun little strategy. It will likely show a small profit over time, but we'll see how that goes. So looking at that, it profited over Grafton. We essentially ended up with $18. If we look at, and that is with a 7% commission, which is essentially what you would have to pay for in Australia for most of the meets, except for New South Wales, which will be 10%, I believe. But of course, if you do have high turnover or you are part of the VIP, it's not called VIP, Betfair VIP anymore, it's called Betfair Plus in Australia, you do get some discounts. And if you're part of the Automation Club in Australia, you also get a discount on that commission, which generally helps because 7% is a fairly high thing that you need to get across. So if you've got a 20, 30, 40% discount on that commission, it can really help. So Mitchell has just asked, can you talk about the sample size and how many bets you like to have when judging a strategy? So most of my strategies have thousands of bets, and I like to run it over several months. So there are seasons, especially to horse racing and sports. Obviously, if you're looking at multiple different sports during the year, NRL, AFL only runs in winter, then you go to summer and you're basically looking at cricket and soccer. Same with the US, baseball's on at the moment, NFL's about to start up, and basketball's about to start up again as well in a couple of months. So I like to get through the different parts of the season, and with racing, I'm generally looking for at least 3 to 6 months worth of data before I would start to even filter anything on it. I've just come up with a fairly simple strategy here. We'll just test it over probably 10,000, 20,000 bets, because we can knock up quite a few bets fairly quickly, and then we'll start to look at how we can improve it on another live stream. But at the moment, it's just collect the data. If you look at how this actually did perform over the Sunday, it actually lost. We were down $22 overall. Considering that was over 90 odd bets, 94 bets, $7 of that was really commission as well. So we're down basically 15, and one of those that came in was a $50 winner essentially against us. So you take that one out, you're looking okay. Obviously, you can't take those out. We're not filtering for anything. I had a quick look at the odds, but there's just not enough data yet to make any kind of mechanical strategy out of this where you're just basing it on rules. But it has got a good premise that we're basically looking for jockeys that can't win on their horses, or they're riding bad horses that can't come in because they can't get the rides that are profitable, and they're losing 35 cents on SP. Mitchell's also asked, do you judge the profit on turnover figures sample size differently depending on the staking strategy, flat staking versus proportional staking? I generally don't look at the staking to start off with. This is just the standard staking that I would use for most things, but I'll look at the T-stat and the p-values that are happening with the selections. So essentially looking at what happened versus what the odds say should have happened. Obviously, if you're taking something at, let's just say $2, they should win 50% of the time. If you're finding they only win 25% of the time, your p-value is going to be fairly low. So in the community, the science community, they use a p-value of 0.05, which is 5%. I'm generally looking for a p-value of 0.001, which is 0.1%. You can get so many selections in horse racing that you have enough data to get it down to that level. So that's basically saying that the results, when luck is factored in, should continue to produce what you're seeing. But generally, I'm using those kind of stats, and I'll do those stats once we get enough on this jockey method, just to see if it is just due to luck or whether we're having, or whether we've actually found something that's worth progressing with and doing each week. But I'll need to get up to at least 1,000 bets before we do that. So a few weeks of effort, unless I do it every day. But yeah, so the jockey method has essentially lost 22 last Sunday. I have done it over Randwick, Caulfield and Doomben for today. The jockeys that we are laying at those meets are Andrew Gibbon, Benjamin Osmond, Jet Stanley, Madeline Owen at Randwick. Caulfield was Amy Herman, Jake Duffy, Lachlan King and Tom Preble. And at Doomben, it's Alicia Donald, Dan McGillivray, I think, Malia Castle, and Noriyuki Masuda, and Stacey Callow. Now, I may try to get a few more of those done just to show how to do that. So I'll do Doomben now, so we kind of get Doomben out of the way. So you can actually, sorry, not Doomben, Belmont now, because I've got it open. And we can see who we can do at Belmont. So essentially, as I said, we've checked Alan Kelly. He's at 0.72. We're looking for 0.65 or less. So he's not one. Now, the annoying thing about this on racing and sports is, and I'm just going to open these up because it's easier to open them all in some tabs and then go through them, is you can only do 100 jockeys before you hit their limit. There's obviously ways around that with proxies and things like that, but I'm going to just do this until we hit 100. So I've got 11 left after this, so we'll probably only get through Belmont. So we're not doing Brad because he's 0.68. We're looking for 0.65 or less. It's 0.73. Okay, so here's Braden Gareth is going to be a lay at Belmont. So what I'm going to do is jump back into here and paste him in. Okay, and I'm going to go have a look at what Braden's done. So this is fairly easy. All right, so you can just come back here, find Braden on the screen. He's only racing one. Now, note that these are a little bit off center, so you kind of got to have a look. Braden's in race 9, number 1. So let's go put that. He's going to be in race 9 and number 1. Becomes a selection. And he's at 0.52. Now, I haven't recorded the ROI. That's probably something I should have done, because we may find that 35% loss isn't enough and we should be taking things higher than 40%. Technically, you'd take all of them and see how it actually works, because maybe it works at 20%. But I've just picked a number to play with the strategy. Chris has got 75. This one's 82. Okay, 65. So I'm going to include Jade again. Okay, so Jade is riding. Jade McNaught is in race 4, number 2, and race 7, number 8. Race 4, number 2, race 7, number 8. There's another 2 selections. Jason Brown is another one. So Jason is riding on, where am I? Sorry, down here, Jason Brown. Race 1, number 6, and race 4, number 6. Race 1 and 4, both horses are number 6. So it's a fairly easy strategy at the moment, but we don't know if this is going to win still. So we've got Jason Whiting, he's 0.67. Jordan Turner's at 0.72. And Joseph's at 0.66. So I basically can pick 3 more jockeys. So I'm just going to pick the next 3 that are in here. And if we don't... So I'll show you what happens when you do the 4th one too. So we got a 0.75, that's not going to happen, a 0.76, no, and a 0.81. Now, essentially, we're going to get blocked temporarily. We've sent too many requests in their time frame, which is 24 hours, so without actually turning on another proxy and getting another IP address. I'm just going to go to there, and that will be what we have in the jockeys. So we've at least got a few there to have a bit of a play with today and collect some data. Now, I also got sent some last week around the New Zealand races, and it was profitable at one of the meets and not profitable at the other meets. So there is a bit more data I have than what I've collected myself. Let's jump in and actually do the Belmont meet just to see if there's any more selections which are worth laying as well. Okay. So just going to jump into the races here, go to Belmont. And this is going to follow my standard process when I'm doing a manual assessment of the races. So I'm really looking to see where the drop-off is in the ratings on tab. So it drops off after the top 3. I'm not going to lay any horses that haven't run, and I'm going to have a bit of a look at those 3 that aren't there and compare those again on Racing and Sports to the career average prize money as a starting point. So we can see here 3 is a 3, 1 and 4 clearly have got 1 more prize money than 2 and 6. And 2 and 6 as an average are fairly low, but they've only had 1 race. Looking at that, 6 is on a worse jockey and has a worse trainer. 6 is up here as one of the 3 we would look at. It's running in equal class. Looking at it, it's had 1. We're running on heavy today, 1,000 meters. It ran on soft at 1,000 meters and basically tried to lead and got run down. Now it's probably going to be a little bit fitter. And it has won some barrier trials, so it won't be touching 6. The other one that was low was number 2. And number 2's here. Essentially gone up in class. Last time it ran on good, so there's no idea of how it's going to run on soft ground, so I'll just stay out of this meeting. 7, I know they've got him at $41, hasn't shown enough up in class, but it's ran once. I'm just going to leave it. Move to race 2. There's a big drop off here. We've got one that's favourites 1-6 from 23. Looking at the last couple here, Wednesday hasn't done much. We're running on heavy. It's only ran once and not done anything and not competed on soft. Its last run was terrible since it came back. So maybe number 4 in race 2. Let's have a look at the career prize money. He's kind of middle of the pack, so let's have a bit of a look at number 8. 8 got an average jockey. Now, number 8 seems to be in the money as well. So why is number 8 at 550? Interestingly, people are liking the last couple of runs. It's also won on the soft. So considering one of its wins and one of its places have basically come off soft or heavy, I get why he's probably short and we'll stay clear of him. So moving to race 3. Okay, there's some terrible horses based on the odds in this race, 8 and 11. So let's go check the prize money first. Are they the bottom two? So 8, 11 and 10 are dropped off. They don't have very good jockeys. Pretty much down there on the trainers. So 8, 10 and 11. It's the last 3 here. And number 10 for some reason is 750. And again, that's because 2 of his placings out of 3 races have been on the wet tracks, and he's been pretty close in most of his runs, even though he's up in stronger class. He has placed 4 out of the 5 times, even in big fields. So some of those fields have been 13, 12 and 10. So I can get why he's 750. Let's look at these two that are 150 to 1. He's ran once, came 4th, which isn't too bad. He was 3 lengths behind, ran on the pace most of the way, continued on that. He's up strongly in class with a 6.5. He's got a bit to do there. We need to see a favourite here that's likely to win if we're going to lay him up at the odds which are there. So the favourite here is also up in stronger class. Only won 1 of 4. Again, up in stronger class, has won 2 of 8. Has performed on soft. This guy performed on soft, yep. The other one, 2 of 6 in equal class, but has only performed on good ground, and the heavy might not suit him. So there is a little bit of a risk here. This guy hasn't done much. He seemed to perform okay on heavy. I'm going to stay away from him. Number 11 has only run on good. The only soft run he had was a barrier trial by the looks of it. He came 4th out of 5. Up in stronger class again, so he's probably going to struggle. The win that he had at Pinjarra was at 1400, and we're racing at 1400 again. Unlikely to threaten. His last run was, almost 6 lengths behind. He seems to come from behind and try to run on, which is a lot harder to do in heavy. So number 11 looks like a horse that might be worthwhile laying. Just going to go double check where he was. He's at 3.6. He's down there. Just going to go have a quick look at some of his runs just to see. So 13 out of 14. He's got a fairly good result at this distance, but I believe his other runs were, these were the 2 1400 runs. His other run here was at 1200, so obviously a little bit behind. Looking at the prize money of those races, it was a 25,000 and a 35,000. Have a quick look at what today's race is. It's an 80,000. That's a massive step up in class. So I'm willing to lay him, but I'm not willing to go above that 150. So we've got Belmont Race 3, number 11. Race 3, number 11. I'll risk the 30, but I'm not going to go above the 150, which means you likely won't get matched at that price, but we'll see if we can get the 150. There's a chance it could be a little bit of value there. So Mitchell's asked a question in the chat. Do you think the strategy would work on greyhound trainers with 65 or worse? Yeah, I think, Mitchell, it's worth looking at. So you can get the same stats in racing and sports for greyhounds. I think you can also do it in harness around the riders and the trainers there. It's worth looking at. Trainers are the ones that are selecting which races to go in, and if they're fairly bad at picking the horses or dogs to go into those races, and they go into more competitive races than they should because they're not assessing them correctly, then there could be an edge there as well. So definitely worth having a look at if you've got the time to knock out those stats. Okay, so race 4 here, jumping back to this. We got a strong favourite here. It's won 5 of 8, and it's got Pike on it. So Pike is obviously a very good jockey in WA. Very happy with seeing a strong favourite that should go on to win, and the main contender, unlikely to beat it with 2 from 11. Although those 2 wins came, and 4 of those places came on soft ground. This one's won 2 out of 3 on soft and hasn't raced heavy. So let's have a look at race 4. So race 4, looking at the career prize money, number 1, which looked like it was the one at the bottom, only has 5.5k on average per race. Everyone else, apart from 2, is above 10k. So this horse is a lot lower class than the others. The rating's the worst, down at 80. And having a quick look, he's won 25% of his races, so he's not terrible. And he's coming down in class. So let's have a quick look. Distance, he's won 3 of 12. This track he hasn't done too good, 1 of 9. So this isn't one of his favourite tracks. Again, this class, he's got won 1 of 8. Now, in the soft, he's only won 1 of 7 and hasn't won in the heavy. So again, that's 1 of 9 for wet grounds. They're saying he must improve. Let's have a look. Since he came back from the 140-day spell, that 4.3 is a long way behind at Belmont. His last run, he was close most of the time, racing short, 1,000 metres. Look, given that he wins 25% of the time, I'm pretty much, or 21%, going to check that favourite, just to have a bit more of a look at where he's a specialist at 1,000 metres, because all of his runs have come around there. Seems that after a spell he seems to go quite well, and then he tailed off here. Could have been that he went up in class. He likes to get to the front and hold the front or on the pace. It's a fairly small field, so he should be able to do that, and he's got a fairly good barrier to do that. I'm just going to have a quick look at these other ones. 2 from 13, hasn't won in the soft. This is the other main contender. Again, 1 at 1,000 metres twice. Again, likes to get up front, so we might have a bit of a push at the front. But again, it's heavy. Heavy tends to favour those that are up the front, not at the back of the field. It's very hard to run on with the ground being heavy, unless you get the right track bias and you get that lane that gives you a bit better of a run. Sometimes those coming at the back tend to take the shortcut too, and try to get on the inside when the front runners go out to the wide barrier. I'm pretty willing to lay him up to probably $30, just because we've got such a strong favourite in there. So number 1 in race 4, up to 30. Horse 1. There's much more of a chance of a horse in a small race winning against us and losing us that, but it's worth it at the odds of 30. He's unlikely to win it, and I'd say less than 3% of the time. I'm probably looking at him in this 7 horse winning less than 1%, but I'm just going to be a bit careful. Okay, race 5. We've got a couple of 100 raters. They're all rated in the 90s, so these 100 raters are going to have to be pretty good. We've got 7 out of 18. Has won 4 from 7 in the wet. And 7 out of 35. That's not giving me confidence. Has won 4 out of 16 and placed in another 9. What do we got here? These two are the favourites. 7 out of 14. Has won 50% in the wet. And 3 out of 27. How is this? Okay. Again, it's on the soft stats. He's won 1 out of 3 and placed in the other 2. And my guess is that they're all the most recent runs, yes. And that is why he's down there. So I'm just going to have a look at one. 11 out of 49. He's in equal class. I'm not seeing anything here. Again, in equal class, 4 out of 8. I'm not going to touch any of those long shots. Jump to race 6. Okay, we've got a long shot down here that might be worth laying. The favourite's 4 out of 15. Has won 3 out of 6 on the soft. So let's have a quick look at number 5. And essentially, he's 4 out of 19. Hasn't won on the soft at all. So he's had 7 goes and only placed twice. So he's in an equal class. What has he done recently? 10 lengths on his last run, which was on soft at 1400. He's stepping up to 1600. And it looks like most of his wins are up around the 2000. So given it's wet, you can kind of bring it back a little bit, but 1600 is probably still short. So looking at it, I'm going to go check number 5 on race 6. See what his career prize money looks like. He's middle of the pack, so I'm not going to touch that. Let's have a quick look at number 11 though, given he's right down the bottom, doesn't have a great jockey, has a terrible trainer. Race 6, number 11. Okay, 6 out of 44. He's won 2 out of 9 on soft ground. Last run was on heavy and only within a length. Up in class. Just having a look, facing a tougher challenge. He's got a fairly broad range of winning distances. I'm just going to go have a look at what kind of prize money was on this. Now, he had Pike, which definitely would have helped get him a couple extra lengths. So number 11, I'm just going to have a quick look. It was in a $30,000 prize race. Now, Pike's a really good runner. Hasn't done well at this course. It's got 11 races and only placed twice. Distance a bit better. Course and distance terrible. So it was a $30,000 and he's stepping up to 80,000 again. Let's just see. It's number 11. Let's have a look at what he has been running in. So he had a 60,000 here, got beaten by 4 lengths. Was in an 80,000 here, got beaten by 5 lengths. A 60,000 here, got beaten by 3 lengths, and a 60,000 and placed. So let's just have a look at the jockey. Jockey's had 2 runs on this horse, hasn't placed at all. The jockey in their last 350 only wins 6% of the time. The jockey trainer stats a little bit better. It does seem that this is a go-to jockey for this trainer. The trainer again is 7%. When they do get together, they perform slightly better. I'm willing to. I know he's a last start winner. That might keep his odds down a little bit. So I'm willing to take him on a little bit at maybe around the $20 mark. So race 6, number 11 at $20. Again, that's close to the tab odds. We're probably not going to get those odds. It's probably going to be higher. My expectation is it'll probably go off around 35 to 40 on Betfair. But if we can snag it at odds of 20, it's worth a lay at those prices. Let's have a look at race 7. Okay, we've got a lot of horses in race 7. That generally gives us a bit more of an opportunity to find something to lay. The favourite is number 12, who has won 7 out of 18, done well in the wet with 3 wins out of 7 races. Looking at the top rater, it's won 4 out of 22, has only won one of those in the wet, 1 out of 6. Now, the big ones here, odds-wise, are obviously 11 and 6, so I'm just going to jump and look at the race 7 and check the stats. Okay, so the career stats. So they're saying 11 and 4. 6 is kind of middle-ish of the pack, just below. Middle seems to be about 13, tops around 20. These two down here are probably the two to look at, number 4 and number 11. Jockeys, they're not the top jockeys in the race. And trainers, again, they're not the top trainers. So 4 and 11 are probably the two that I do want to look at. So even though number 6 is in here, you can see it's got odds of 101. 7 out of 26, and it's won 2 out of 8. It's only just up in stronger class. It's got really bad ratings based on its last few runs, which obviously, when you look at it, going back, this is over a few years, its last few runs. And it is a 7-year-old. So if this is a short race, number 6 might be okay. And it is 1200. So we might look at number 6 a little bit. Horses tend to lose their speed as they get older, and 7's starting to push it. If it was an 8-year-old, we'd probably definitely look at laying that. Let's have a look. So the favourites weren't that good, although we had 7 out of 18. Most of those at the short distance. So, and has been racing Metro. So, okay, I'm going to look at 11 first, because 11 came up with the prize money. At 201 to 1, the market doesn't like it at all. Hasn't placed recently. It's been running, not too bad, 3 to 4 lengths behind. Runs on from the end. We said it's a heavy track, so that's hard to do. It's only run 1 out of 10 doing that. Given the career prize money, it hasn't done enough anywhere recently to say this is worthwhile. So I'm going to take that one up to about 500, maybe 600. So race 7, number 11. I'm going to get 600. I don't see him winning in this large pack. Now, the other one was number 4 from memory. Number 4. And number 4 is rated up here at 88. Does win 24% of the time with 9 out of 37. And they've said is worth looking at. Now, I'm guessing that's based on his last win where he ran from the front on soft and took it out. And okay. Looking at his stats, he's won 7 out of 20. So 7 of his wins have come on the wet ground. So best to stay away from number 4. But again, this is when you kind of can find long shots to back as well. While I don't like backing too many horses because you're putting all your faith in that one horse, when you're getting 17 to 1, and on Betfair it'll probably go at 25, 30 to 1, you're looking at something that's winning, close to 24% of the time. More than that in regards to wet ground. It's more up over 30%, and it's at $30. Is a last start winner in very similar class. It's only got stronger class is 1. It's probably one that you could back, but keep in mind if you're backing horses at 30-1, generally you're going to be losing quite a bit of the time, which is why I prefer to find long shots that are easy to lay, even though you get a smaller return. I'm looking at that 1 to 2% return on turnover in the long term, and 2%. It's easier to find a 50-1 that's easy to lay than it is to find the winners to cover that. So 4 is not a thing. 6, I'm going to have a bit more of a look at 6, just based on where it's been. So 6 is just below middle of the pack. Very much behind on the jockeys, very much behind on the trainer. Now, it's a $125,000 class race. Number 6, let's see what he's been running in. Was number 6, wasn't it? Yes, which was a 7-year-old. Okay. So, looking at it, it ran in $125,000 last time, ran in 150. So he normally runs up in these races and doesn't perform great. Now, he's ran against a lot of these horses before, and at 150-1, and finished 6 lengths behind. And he actually came behind. Pretty sure that's number 4 that we just looked at. So I'm not seeing much here. I'm just going to check his last run. Settled at the tail of the field, held the ground to the corner, gave away a big start in the lane, and was just fair through to the line. So we didn't run on very well. Was it 1,000 metres? Very hard to catch up in 1,000 metres. Severely checked. So given he was severely checked, I'm just going to stay away from this because his odds are probably going to be longer than they should be. Okay, let's have a bit of a look at race 8. Another big field, and some good horses down here with long odds that we can look at laying. So I'm going to start with the prize money because there's a lot of horses in here. Middle of the pack's about 5, so we're looking for about half of that. So 15 and 16 are our 2 that we're going to lay. Jockey's pretty average, trainer's pretty average. So 15 and 16, and they're the 2 long shots in the race. Let's just check the favourite, who is Top Raider. It's a 1,200 metre race. He's only won 3 out of 13, but 3 of those wins have come on the soft ground or heavy ground. So he's going at roughly 50% win rate on soft and heavy. So let's have a look at the 2 that we've got here. Number 15 has had 5 runs on the wet ground, done nothing. Let's have a look. He's been off on a spell for a bit. Has not done much in the run before that with 8 out of 9, but been racing on good. Up in class slightly. We don't know how they're going to come back from that. They have only won 10%. I'm just going to go check. That was number 15. Just going to jump down to 15 and look at how they run on first up. So first up, they've got 1 win out of 5. I'm still, given that they've done nothing on soft and heavy, and they race a lot of distances. Jockey hasn't raced on this horse before. It's been running in 60, 24, 24, 40. This race was 60. Yeah, I'm willing to risk him. Probably up to about $200. So number 15, he's coming from a wide barrier as well. In a short race, unlikely to contend in this. So number 15, I'll probably take him up to 300. So race 8, number 15. Take him to 300. And let's check out the other one. So where are we? Race 8. Let's check number 16. Only won once out of 22. That was on good ground. Has not won on soft ground of 6 races, but has placed twice. Recent run was terrible on soft ground, 11 lengths behind. Is dropping in class with a -3. They're saying unlikely to threaten. We did say this was a 1200, didn't we? Has been placing okay prior to that. It is a 5-year-old, so nothing there. Again, it likes to run on from the back, which is likely why it's no good in the wet. Generally, they run better on when it's dry from the back. Okay, and number 16. Let's go have a quick look. Sweet Tea. So has placed twice at this distance. Hasn't placed at this course. Has been running in much better class though. Has beat one of these before. This prize money worries me a little bit, given this race is back to 60,000. Even though they've not done anything on soft or heavy. These odds are inflated from this last margin race. Prior to that, he was running okay. Yes, he wasn't winning and he was coming middle of the pack, but he's only 2 lengths behind. It's another one I'm just going to steer clear of. So we've only got the one lay in that race, just number 15. Sorry, let's jump across. Last race at Belmont. Okay, another big field. So we've got some horses here that are longer priced. Let's have a look at the favourite. 2 out of 7, has 1 out of 2 on soft, but is up in class and is a recent winner, which likely is why he's favourite. The top-rated horse has only won 1 out of 8, which is not giving me confidence that he would go well in the wet. Let's just have a look at the second favourite here. It's only won 2 out of 20. Again, 1 out of 11 or 1 out of 13 when you factor in heavy. I'm not looking like any of these are solid favourites. This is a race where pretty much you might get a long shot come in. But let's go have a look at the prize money in race 9. It's an interesting race. If you were looking to oppose a favourite, this would be one of those races. Now, number 13 definitely has a lot more career dollars, and let's have a look at him. 5 out of 43. Recently ran up front on soft. Tends to run wherever he needs to run. This was in Hong Kong. Did okay in Belmont on that run. Is an 8-year-old, so is a little bit older for 1300. Again, hasn't done much on soft apart from that 4th there. Interesting. He's probably the one that, out of all those top 4 that I looked at, that I'd probably want to take more than the others. But having a look here, we can probably look at these last 2, 10 and 12. Not 10. It's got a good jockey. So probably looking at 12. and seeing where 12 is worthwhile of a lay. 18 has won 1 out of 7 on soft. It's not raced on soft for a long time. Up in class, does like to run from the front, so I'll probably stay away from that one. This is definitely one where we could get a long shot get up, so not going to touch that one. So there we go. So for Belmont, we got a few more selections in there. Race 3, number 11, up to 150. Race 4, number 1, just up to $30. Race 6, number 11, up to 20. Race 7, number 11, up to 600. And race 8, number 15, up to 300. Now, one thing when you look in here, you'll see a lot of the numbers are outside of the top 5 TAB numbers. So when you take into account many of the races are going to be handicaps, the top 5 are generally weighted more because they're the better horses. So you can see we're taking a lot of double-figure numbers, which means they're generally in the bigger fields and they're the worst rated horses. And as we see with the tab ratings, they're fairly low. And we see with the career prize money, they're fairly low. And you'll notice that going back quite a bit. There's a lot of double number figures all the way back and not many in the top 5. Like if we go from, let's just choose from Rose Hill, you've got a 5 there, a 5 there, a 4, a 3, 3, and then if you look today, there is only 1, 2, 3, 4 selections that are a tab 1 to 5 kind of number. You're generally going to find that long shots that should be long shots are going to be lower in the numbers, although sometimes as the top weight might be completely overweighted. Weight is kind of an overrated factor in many cases, but enough weight will stop a horse over a longer distance. I tend to not worry too much about the weights, but the weights are more of an indication of it's a better class horse. So that's why you're generally finding we're taking these double figure numbers in the TAB numbers because they are the poorer rated selections. I'll probably leave it there. I probably could do Morphettville, but we've been going for a fairly, almost an hour. I think we've got enough selections there to have a bit of a fun day and maybe get a few dollars in the kitty and hopefully get closer to covering one of those stakes so we cover one of those losses. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I'll jump back on tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll try to get on around 9:30 in the morning, and we'll go through the Sunday meetings and see how they go. So just a reminder, we're doing Randwick, Caulfield, Doomben and Belmont today, and for the jockeys, we've done the exact same meets, except we ran out of the 100 tokens to finish off Belmont. We'll see how it goes. If anyone does do any stats on the other meets at Racing and Sports, feel free to send me over what selections they were, and I'll add them into the spreadsheet to see how they go. It's always interesting to collect the stats and then decide what to do with it. But hopefully, look, if you're having a punt today on the horses, good luck. It is a bit wet out there at some of the tracks, which can always throw up a few interesting results. But yeah, hopefully you get a profit, and hopefully all of our selections that we lay do lose and we make that small profit on the day again. Thanks for watching. I know some of you have been on for pretty much the entire hour, so I do appreciate it. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks, guys. See ya.